Hey there folks, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now this blog has been requested by an old high school friend of mine. His name is Kevin Yu, and he has asked me to blog an animated Dreamworks film about racing snails. So, with that said, let's get started. Released on July 17th, 2013, the movie is Turbo. Now, on with the plot. A snail named Theo is unhappy that he's slow. When he watches car races on TV, he wishes that he could be as fast as them, and renames himself Turbo. One day, through a series of mishaps, he ends up on a car that's in the middle of a street race. He gets sucked into the engine, and when the driver hits the nitrous oxide, which makes the car go faster, he gets doused with it. He gets out and discovers that he can move fast. Eventually, he and another snail, Chet, get picked up by a guy who and some other people race snails. When they see how fast he is, they decide to enter him in the Indy 500. So, what do I think of this movie? Well, to be honest, this movie is not one of my favorite Dreamworks films, and also not one of my favorites from 2013, but I still enjoy it. I mean, it is pretty funny, and it was pretty hardcore, but let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, Turbo was directed by first-time director David Soren, who also came up with the idea for the film. It all started when Dreamworks Animation organized a competition for all employees to pitch a one-page idea. The night before, Soren conceptualized Fast and Furious with snails and won the competition. The studio bought the idea and let it simmer for more than 5 years. When Soren and his family moved into a new home with a backyard infested with snails, he pushed for the idea and got it back on the fast track. Soren explained why he chose snails. For him, it was less about trying to make a racing movie and more about finding an underdog that he could really latch onto. He thought that a snail is, inherently an underdog. It's smashed, eaten by people, the butt of slow jokes around the world. It just seemed loaded with obstacles. Obviously, the opposite of slow is fast, and that's where racing came into the picture. For the racing side of the film, Soren was inspired by his 6-year-old son's fascination with race cars. Dreamworks Animation partnered with Holman and Company, parent company of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Indy Racing League, LLC, to make the racing as authentic as possible. Dario Franchitti, 4-time IZOD IndyCar Series champion, was a technical consultant on the movie, giving advice on how Turbo should navigate the speed and competition through the eyes of a snail. Now, in my opinion, the reason why I said this film is not one of my favorites is because its story, to me, has been done before many times. I mean, think about it. It's about a character who dreams of doing something that he knows could never be possible, but then out of nowhere something happens and changes inside him, and then later on he's able to fulfill his dreams. But anyway, on the positive side, the animation is awesome. I mean, it's Dreamworks after all. To me, while snails can sometimes be a bit cartoony, it's still superb. Plus, the racing climax at the Indy 500 is absolutely fantastic. Also, the music in this film is very catchy, with a few songs coming from Theo's radio. Now let's move on to the characters and their voice actors. Our main character, Theo, aka Turbo, is voiced by the Green Lantern himself, Ryan Reynolds, who during that same year was in a prehistoric Dreamworks stinker known as The Croods. Anyway, Theo is a garden snail who dreams of becoming a racer and the next Indianapolis 500 champion. The reason why I like Theo is for his free-spirited and adventurous personality. Plus, I like the parts where his shell glows blue whenever he goes fast. It almost makes me think of the light cycles from the Tron movies. Theo also has headlight eyes, a radio, a car alarm, and a backup noise in him. Theo's brother, Chet, is voiced by Paul Giamatti, who has been in films like Robots, San Andreas, Rock of Ages, and Saving Mr. Banks. Chet is shown to be grumpy, overly cautious, and always practical. However, he is caring and wants to keep his brother safe. He is constantly embarrassed by his brother's obsession with speed, but over time he comes to accept it and cheer him on. Next up we have Tito Lopez, a Dos Bros taco truck driver voiced by Michael Pena. Known for being in films like World Trade Center, Vacation, Ant-Man, and Hell and Back. He'll also be cast in the upcoming Lego Ninjago and My Little Pony movies this fall. Like Theo, Tito is a dreamer and, after seeing how fast Theo is, believes that he can help him and his friends get their businesses back on the map by winning the Indy 500. Next we have Whiplash, the leader of the Starlight Plaza Snail crew, voiced by Samuel L. Jackson. Known for being in The Incredibles, Star Wars Episodes 1 through 3, and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now, I gotta admit, Whiplash is my favorite character in the movie, due to him being very charismatic. He also wants to be respected by his members, and he treats them all like family figures. Whiplash can also be very uptight in most situations, and prefers to work very hard. Finally, we have Ben Schwartz as Skidmark, Snoop Dogg as Smooth Move, Michael Patrick Bell as White Shadow, and Maya Rudolph as Burn. The rest of the cast includes Richard Jenkins, Michelle Rodriguez, Bill Hader, Louis Guzman, and Ken Jeong. And now it's time to move on to my final words. Overall, Turbo isn't a great movie from Dreamworks, but it was still very enjoyable. The animation is great, the voice acting is terrific, most of the characters are fun, the comedy is laugh-out-loud hilarious, and even though the story is a tad cliched, it still makes a good film to watch. But I still wouldn't recommend this for everybody, though. I give this film a rating of 74% out of 100. Well, that's it for today, everybody. Be sure to join me again for my next blog. Mustang Power!